What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F1 24 My Team Career Mode episode. Today, round 16. We're in Italy. It's Monza. As you can see, we've just been doing some chassis upgrades for the next few races to come. If you're new around here and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It will help you out a lot when staying up to date with every video. Now, Q1. Everyone knows Monza, the Temple of Speed. It's all about your engine, and what an engine we've been developing in our car over the first part of this season. Over halfway. I still can't believe we're almost halfway as we almost spin the car straight away in turn one, almost locking the rear brakes there. Really not happy on turning, potentially just taking a bit too much speed. We really absolutely powered it down through the start-finish straight, now braking before the second chicane really of this circuit. It's basically long straights, many chicanes, and a few corners like this. Wasn't entirely comfortable with the setup initially, I have to admit, but I was getting better and better the more laps I did, especially through practice and even through qualifying as well. We head up now towards the Ascari chicane, tip the car in nicely, keep the throttle pinned as much as you dare, and pretty stable through there, which is kind of rare with my wing level, which I think it was like 10-0, so 10 on the front wing, 0 on the rear, as we almost run out of track limits as we head around the last corner of our first lap in Q1. And is worthy of P8, which is not ideal. So we're going to go out for another run. As we can see now, we're down in P17 again. We did make a massive mistake. I say mistake. We locked up hugely, massively in the first turn, the heavy braking zone that is turn 1. I'm going to try and save a little bit more battery than I did last time as well, which would also stunt my speed and reduce the locking up. We managed to handle it a lot better this time. And look at that, 2.5, almost 0.3 gained from the first chicane alone, which is unbelievable. I'm going to burn a little bit of battery, stay as tight into the inside as we can. Again, we're losing a little bit of time just because we're not absolutely destroying our battery. And that very, very risky jump over that second part of the chicane there, that was really nicely done, held on to well. Touching the grass a little bit, which is costing us a little bit of time. But we actually have 4.5 tenths in pocket here, as you can see now, because we're trying to save the battery. We're just draining the time here as we go, and we're actually almost 6 tenths up on the cutoff zone here. We're losing a little bit of time as we locked up slightly into the Ascari chicane, but now we can use some of that battery that we saved. Try not to drain all of it. We are still gaining a little bit of time thanks to that battery usage earlier in the straight. Now try and unwind the steering wheel, get on the power. We're still gaining, look at that, almost 8 tenths up on our previous lap. And that's good enough in Q1, at least for P11. Still a few mistakes in there, but here's a mistake you didn't know about. During practice, I put on the older engine components, and I forgot to switch them back for qualifying, and we're going to need those for the race. So during Q2, we've got to bite the bullet. We've got to take engine penalties for my stupidity of, well, not putting on the right engine components before qualifying. So there we go. Engine penalty, we will be starting from the back of the grid, but we have the pace, potentially at the top 10.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship. And what a great race is in store for us today, here at the oldest circuit on the calendar, which hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. With top speeds reaching 215 miles per hour, only a few places can challenge Monza's crown as the fastest track in Formula One. Hard braking zones going into the 3 chicanes make up the majority of the 11 corners on this 3.6-mile circuit. And just in case the slipstream wasn't enough, 2 DRS zones will help encourage some close action. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Bottas, Ricciardo, Joe, Albon, Sargent, Théo Pourchaire, Tsunoda, and Brown. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Indeed, Crofty, let's see who can prevail.
Back of the grid's not what we're aiming for. See if you can make up a few places at the start.
Oh, don't you worry, Mark. People always say no heroics into Saint-Devote. But they're not talking about Monza. That's Monaco. We're not in Monaco. This is Monza. Just in case you didn't know at all through the million places that Monza is written and said throughout the start of this video. I think it's a pretty easy strat. I think we're going to go medium soft, potentially. Or maybe a hard medium. It might be a hard medium. Let's just have a look at the time difference. Bit of the delta we're going to have going for us. Something around 10 laps on hard, 9 laps on medium. Hard medium is slower. But, I don't know, I'm feeling maybe a lunge into turn 1 and hang on to some medium runners up ahead, maybe. Let them use up their tyres, we overtake them. They try and get undercut, but we have fresher tyres at the end to go for a little charge, potentially. But from the back of the grid, I'm not really sure how realistic this is going to be. But we're going to see what we can do from the back in just a second. Now let's go for the race in Monza. The lights are all on. Now they're out as we go racing again for the second time in Italy as we almost spin off the line, such as the low grip of these hard compound tyres. Everybody up ahead of us seems to be on the mediums. We're going to send it down for a cheeky inside line as we almost collide with someone who was kind of changing their line going into the braking zone, which was not a happy time for us, but we make it work with no damage up to P14 on hards. Ocon's a bit slow. We go around the outside of him. Magnussen's a bit slow on the inside. We're going to go around the outside, but Gasly's leaving the door open, so go up the inside, and Perez is there too. We do get paid back with a little bit of floor damage, it looks like.
The underbody's taking a
Yep.
bit of damage. Just watch out.
Just as we said, a little bit of floor damage there, but we're up to P11 from P22. We've cut through half of the field in the first 3 corners. Not even 3. Kind of 2 corners and a straight, basically. But now we've just got to hang on to Perez as best as we can, which is easier said than done. He's in a Red Bull and on mediums. We're in whatever car this is, and hards. Thankfully, we do have what looks to be a Haas and an Aston Martin blocking the way. But they're doing a good job of it as a roadblock. They've completely stunted Perez's progress here. Perez must have had a bad qualifying to be where he is at this moment. And now it's 3 wide as they go down the main straight. We're just sitting behind, just chilling. Look, just racing line. And Perez actually gets a double overtake. We almost spin, locking the rears again on entry of turn 1. But again, look at the little run we've got here. It must be our wing level in comparison to the AI as we now make our own double overtake. We saw what Perez did and we wanted a taste, and there we go. Crucially, Perez is just outside of the DRS as we've actually damaged our floor a little bit more by riding the yellow sausage curbs of that last chicane a little bit too hard, and we've actually lost a little bit of time to Perez in doing that, and we're not going to get the DRS down the main straights. And we didn't for the 7 laps following the cheeky double overtake on on Hülkenberg and Stroll, and we've dropped them by about 5.5 seconds. Perez is still We can smell him. We can smell the Red Bull from here. But we're just not close enough to get DRS. We're using as much battery as we can. It's going to take some battling. There's some people in the pits. It's Norris, Hamilton, Verstappen and Leclerc all in the pits already. We're obviously not going to pit straight after them. But we're going to try and get onto the back of these runners just here. The likes of Piastri, Russell and Perez just ahead of us. And see if we can make up some positions with a bit of an overcut. Again, there's the roadblock of Stroll and Hülkenberg behind us. They will probably pit before the other drivers make it all the way to them. But it looks like they did emerge in some traffic. You can see, looks like there's an Alpine and a Kick Sauber holding up some of the previous front runners in this race. A little bit deep as we go all over the gravel. That was not ideal line through there, but we got the DRS anyway. Keep it calm, keep it collected. Let's not get crazy like those up ahead who are going too wide, almost into the Ascari chicane, which really slows up Perez and actually gives us a nice bit of a run until it wasn't a run anymore, because Perez in that Red Bull just flies off the corner really. And now just saving a bit of the battery, just doing what we can. I have a feeling they're going to try and box this lap, but I'm going to get as much slipstream as I dare. It looks like I'm following them in, but I just cut out of the pit lane just in time. And we lead the race, believe it or not. And as we're leading the race, why not make some mistakes? But we're going to box this lap. There's only one lap later, I think. And we're lap 11 now, going on to lap 12. Leclerc 10 seconds behind on hard. We're going to have 8 laps of mediums. And yeah, it's basically a qualifying laps to the end now. But I keep saying Magnussen, it's Hülkenberg and Stroll. They've been holding each other up so badly that they are going to be 10 seconds behind us, maybe. Something like, it's actually now Alonso and Hülkenberg. They are 20 seconds behind us. No, absolutely not. 10 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever it is. We come out just behind Hamilton. We've got Hamilton, Perez. There's 5 cars here. This is almost a podium. This is like P4, I think, on the road here. There's the 2 Ferraris and Verstappen way out there. You can see on the minimap in the bottom left where they are. I think it's Leclerc just going down towards the Ascari chicane now. And Verstappen and Sainz must just be a corner or so ahead of us here. But we're hanging onto the back of Hamilton nicely, which is what we want to do for now. Charge a bit of the battery, just drift up nicely close behind him, let them battle ahead of us, and then we use our fresher tyres and our battery just to launch an undefendable attack. That is what we want out of this situation. We've got 7 laps to go. We're in P8 from the back of the grid. It's a little bit of a lock-up from one of the cars in front, but it doesn't do anything for us. And then now, I think we're probably going to have to wait a little bit. But there is a car going very slowly. It's Piastri. His engine's exploded down the pit straight. That's a free position. I'll take that. Up to P7 now. And now we're right on the back of Hamilton. But under traction, that Mercedes, the Red Bull, just ahead of us there. Just a little bit too quick for the moment. But down the straights, we've got some serious pace, such as the developments that we've been doing into our engine. And not the most ideal line there, to be honest, but it works. We make it work. And we just have so much more grip at the moment through these corners. I don't want to kill these tyres immediately, but we might have to start getting some moves done here. You can see, still got the floor damage, which isn't ideal, but we do have the fresh engine, which is potentially helping with our straight line speed against those around us during this weekend. It obviously didn't help us in qualifying. In qualifying, we got P11 in Q1 with a really worn out engine, so that kind of shows our pace around here, that we can still at least over 1 lap. Put in some good time. And we're riding on board now with the rear end of Lewis Hamilton. So he's going to go a little bit defensive actually into turn 1. Now we're going to look to the outside and view this lovely little move, taking Max Verstappen to school. That's going to cause some arguments in the comments, isn't it? But anyway, on board with Russell, as now we're gaining on Russell even, using the battery. You can see how close we're getting. We're actually going to look to the inside, right up against the grass. Don't know how I didn't dip a wheel and spin, but we make it work. There's the dip of the wheel that we're looking for. Now you can see we've got 2 Mercedes behind us, a Red Bull in front. We're in some good company. And that Red Bull in front is Sergio Perez. A Sergio Perez without DRS. We are the ones with the DRS. We're not going to use any battery. Just going to make him go a bit defensive, make him lose a little bit of time. Just make it easier for us to hopefully get a nice exit from this corner. Stay close to him with a bit of slipstream. Russell's thinking about having a look, but I don't think he's going to have anything on us on the start-finish straight here, especially with the slipstream and DRS from Perez, although Russell might want to have a go if he stays within our slipstream down towards turn 1. But here we go, going to open up the DRS. Still not using the battery very much here. Really want to save it as much as possible. Going to look to the outside of the Red Bull. Late on the brakes. A little bit side by side through the first part of the chicane, but by the second part, the overtake is completed. And now we can try and leave them in our dust. It's lap 17 of 19. 2 laps to hold on to this. Perez just outside of the DRS as it stands at the moment. We've really got to push just to keep him at arm's length for now. I don't think there's anything we can do about Verstappen, but we are still gaining a little bit on the Red Bull up ahead, which again just goes to show that with a fresh engine, you develop in the engine upgrades and a bit of drag reduction when it comes to a circuit like Monza, you can really clean up. From last on the grid so far, P4, back end stepping out a little bit there as we go through the high-speed chicane. And just watching behind us, trying to make sure that no one sneaks into our DRS, no one sneaks an overtake from the slipstream or anything like that. We're almost bottoming out the car over the outside of the final corner. And now onto the final lap. Looks like Verstappen and Sainz are going ham out front. Look at them side by side through turns 1 and 2. That's going to really slow them down. What can we actually do here? They're 2 seconds ahead now. After that exit, we've absolutely dropped Hamilton, Russell and Perez behind. Again, such as the pace advantage we have on the mediums through the corners and the pace advantage we have of our fresh engine down the straights. We've set the car up nicely for this weekend. So close to DRS, we might actually get it on Max Verstappen down towards Ascari. Is it enough though? It looks like we're just going to miss out on the DRS. Just ever so close, but not close enough. They're going to battle again though. Going into sort of the final chicane of the circuit. They weren't side by side for long though. That's not enough for us. We really needed them to be completely side by side, but maybe they just had the peace of mind to think, you know, P2, P3 is better than P4. We don't want to let us essentially into the fight. Verstappen's currently got the fastest lap. We come home in P4 and potentially a fastest lap.
Take care of the car on the way in.
What a result. Back of the grid. I might put it in the title. I don't really like it. I don't like the idea of putting last to question mark, something like that. But it might have to be done.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory. He wins.
A great team victory today, Crofty. That's the important bit here. On home soil, the drivers delivered, the team delivered as well, and to do that in front of their home support really means a lot to them.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race And a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Indeed, Ferrari on top at Monza. Where have we seen that before? Wasn't that long ago it was happening in real life. Which, by the way, I'm pretty happy that we've been able to catch up pretty much with the real life season. And if you're thinking of, you know, what could happen in this career mode towards the end of the season, well, you've got to subscribe and find out. But that's it, really. Ferrari 1 and 3, Red Bull 2nd.
Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Indeed you will, Crofty, and the next one's going to be in Baku. But let's go through the running order for today. Obviously Leclerc followed by Verstappen and Sainz for the podium places. We did get the fastest lap in the end and P4 from the back of the grid. Then we have Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, Zhou Guanyu, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, Teo Porcher, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Sargent, Norris, and Struy, who DNF'd. Very surprising to see both McLarens down in the bottom places, essentially. Kind of really hurts Norris's championship contention there, but we're, again, pulling further away from Lance Stroll, really cementing ourselves in the sort of midfield now as we get to the back end of this season. It's about 8 races left, something like that. And again, Williams, we're kind of securing ourselves in this place. We can just keep doing what we do and hope that it's enough to keep them all at bay. But yes, that's the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you're new around here, again, think about subscribing. The highlights will play for you now, uninterrupted, as they appear in the game for me watching them back. Now, I want to know, do we need to think about a different teammate? I'm thinking about this very early because I want to get the funds together. I want to start thinking, what driver, either on the grid or off the grid, what driver can we put in our car that would perform well and kind of be up to scratch with where we are, really. I want a top quality driver. It's actually heavy contact into that corner that I didn't see last time. It must have been Hülkenberg with his front wing, which is potentially why he was a bit slow. But anyway, let me know in the comments who you think I should start looking at as a potential second driver and a teammate for us in our team. And yeah, something to think about. But that's it for this week. Again, next week, Azerbaijan Grand Prix at Baku. It's a street circuit. I do enjoy the circuit. It's very nerve-wracking through the castle section, but I think it will be a very good race for us again, with some fresh engine components in there. But that's it. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and I'll see you all next week in Baku.